You're listening to the Homeboys podcast, recorded in our Indiana office and with combined 40 years of experience. Here's your hosts, Clint and Scott.
Hey, what's up, real estate investors? Hope you're having a great day today. We are the Homeboys, and this is the Homeboys podcast. We got an exciting topic today. Do you sell your house? We're going to be talking about your personal house, your investment house, any house that you have. The real estate market is still on fire. It's a topic that comes up a lot, and people, do you rush to sell? Do you not? What do you do? As always, I'm here with my delightful and very charming co-host, Mr. Adams. How's it going?
Good. You and I are both swamped at work, a little behind, a little stressed, but good things going on.
A lot of good things, but whenever my to-do list just keeps growing and doesn't shrink, I feel like I get anxiety more in my older age with it. And we were just talking about it. My office is just stacks of papers everywhere, and very far from a paperless society that a lot of people think that we're in these days.
You and I are pretty paperless normally, but both of us are in the same position right now where we're both really behind in both of our desks, which is very unusual for me. I'm OCD. I keep a really clean desk. My world is insane too right now. But, someone that I really respect a lot, who we're going to have on the podcast sometime and talk to him about how he became a successful real estate investor. He told me having an inbox that's overflowing is a great problem to have because it means you've got a lot of business.
I guess.
It's
hard when you're in the storm.
Yeah.
Have you seen, is it the one with Jim Carrey? Is it Bruce Almighty?
Yeah.
Whenever he starts responding to all the prayers, and then he does Post-it notes.
Right.
And then there's just Post-it notes all over the place. I feel like that's kind of my life right now. But, it's good. We got a lot of exciting things going on, too. We've got some big projects, some commercial projects that are in the works. And, it's cool. Yeah. But it's a lot of work.
It is. Yeah, we'll be doing a feature of a property that we'll have available here coming up. Again, a commercial property. Obviously, we always have house available, but we've got a commercial property that became available again. It's a property that had a lot of, ground issues that we fixed when we bought it. And some of those things scared our buyer away, so it's going to be back available again.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is great. It's a great commercial property. So
it is.
Watch for that.
We just got done, kind of going through that. And
sure.
All of our other inventory.
And we're going to go out in the field and go look at it, too, next week.
I know. It's always exciting to get the heck out of the office. Maybe we'll incorporate a meal, into it like we like to do. Still in the worst shape of my life. I keep talking about that on every podcast. It doesn't seem to get any better.
I added on my calendar every other day I have read Bible, at a different time to remind me. And then I added exercise. So I've made the first step. I've added it to my calendar to exercise.
We have not talked about this. This is just kind of freestyling.
Yeah.
But I went to a paper planner.
Yep.
And part of my planner is your daily big three. And faith is always part of my daily big three.
Good.
And I feel like my walk is not probably where it needs to be, and it probably never is. You're always on that walk to improve. But then also, eat better and exercise has been on there for months. And
by eat better, do you mean more steaks and like better quality steaks?
I believe that the protein is a good thing. I think that diet should have a lot of meat, chicken, pork, fish, all the fun stuff. But for me, I think everyone in this office knows that I'm a candy addict. And there are 4 or 5 candy jars around our office that I just can't say no to.
Yeah.
And I just keep eating crap.
Yeah.
And I wonder why I have a mouth full of implants and crowns and cavities and fillings and, all that stuff. But
Yeah, my oldest cut out gluten. My youngest has celiac and so doesn't eat gluten. Mandy's kind of gluten intolerant. So she cut out gluten. My oldest cut out gluten and shed a bunch of weight just like that, not even trying. It's amazing how much, eating those breads and all that stuff adds,
it is. Mandy's also Scott intolerant also,
yes.
right?
Everyone's Scott intolerant. I'm
God
very
bless her.
lucky. She tolerates me. She's actually Scott tolerant. Somehow I landed one that's Scott tolerant.
But she doesn't think you're funny, though, right?
No.
We talk about that, you know, like my wife doesn't think I'm funny. You know,
I've got
some of the things you share with me, I'm like, man, it's funny. She's like, yeah, maybe.
I've got a great
one. She thinks I'm an idiot.
So we have a cat, a one-eyed cat. You know, we rescue all kinds of broken animals, and we've got this one-eyed cat, and Mandy loves this cat, loves it. It's her pet.
It's a child almost.
Well, somehow the cat got in the dryer, and I guess it was warm in there or something. You know, the door's open. Okay. It's a front loader, so you know the door. She leaves it open and hopped in there, and she closed it and started it yesterday.
Oh my gosh!
And immediately blood curdling scream, you know, and opened it. You know, it's just one turn.
Okay.
You know, cat's fine.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't let it go because the cat was fine. So then it became funny to me. So I'd be like, the cat would walk by and I'd be like, that cat looks super dry. She doesn't think that's funny at all.
She thinks you're a sadistic bastard.
I'm like, does that cat look fluffier than normal? She doesn't think any of it's funny. Any of it.
Well, you know, at least we can come to the office and we can laugh at each other's jokes, you know. But anyhow, speaking of something a little more seriously, a topic that is really hot now. My friends, family, coworkers, clients, they're all asking, because the real estate market is so crazy, do I sell my house?
Right.
You know, so we could take this a couple different ways. So let's start off with. You want to start off with personal home?
Yeah, sure.
Start off with your personal home.
Right.
So if you are a homeowner and the market is insanely, you know, on fire, do you cash in and sell your house and try to reap those rewards and move on to something else? Where do you go?
Well, there's nothing wrong with that. You know, there's nothing wrong with ringing the register, as we like to say. You know, when property values are high, there's nothing wrong with selling. You know, we're not big believers in timing of markets. We believe in investing in real estate as a long-term core tenet to a successful financial health. However, when the prices are high, you can't blame somebody for wanting to sell. However, it's what you and I tell each other when we come to each other and say, hey, should we sell our personal houses? You got to live somewhere. And so if it's a personal house, you're going to have to live somewhere. And if you're always trying to time the market, you're not always going to get it right. And, you know, you could end up not making as much as you think. You could probably make some. Mm-hmm. But why there's a quality of life issue. You always say, you know.
Huge.
You wanted to plant your flag. Mm-hmm. You believe in owning your land and planting your flag there. And there's something really true to that. However, I understand why people would do it and try to time the market. It's easy to time on the sell. It's usually harder to time on the buy. You know, people think it's a down market and then it's not. You know, that it's hard to time the market. So I understand wanting to do it, but you got to plant your flag somewhere. And it's not something I recommend doing just to ring the register. You know, we believe in selling maybe some commercial assets if you have them to ring the register. But again, the tenets of what you and I believe in is long-term investing for financial gains, long-term holding.
So, you know, if you're looking at selling your house, I think it's important to note that, you know, the government does make it a little more appealing to sell your house also. Yep. You know, I'm not an accountant. You know, always, you know, consult an accountant for you know, tax rules and all of that stuff. You know, it's never a fun topic.
Were you about to say junk taxes. And all that junk?
It is junk, you know, but nobody likes paying taxes. But the government makes it easy because in most cases you do not pay taxes whenever you sell your house. The rule used to be, and I think it still is, but again, consult your accountant, that if you've lived in the home 2 out of the last 5 years, you don't pay any capital gains tax on it. It's tax-free.
Is it up to a certain amount?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't. You would think that we would be experts at this, but the truth is we have experts who work for us.
And the other reason why we don't know is that would be much more challenging in Indiana, you know, for a certain amount. I mean, if you're in California and some of the run-ups that California have, you're talking, you know, millions of dollars sometimes,
right?
You know, in gains, you know, that could be different. But here in Indiana, I always say we're not what we do is not flip this house, on cable TV. Your margins are a lot smaller. So that if there was a rule, that probably doesn't apply. But, that's pretty attractive, being able to sell your house for a large gain and then also not have the tax liability.
It is. I understand why that's very attractive in the short term. It's hard to not feel greedy and go after that. But it's hard to time it. These are the reasons why it doesn't work. It's hard to time it, whether you're buying or not, and it's hard to time buying in what you want. If it's for you, it just makes it's complicated then, because so much emotion gets involved. And the other part is, we just don't believe in selling real estate, period. We believe in gathering wealth through real estate.
Through ownership of real estate.
I mean, I don't like to ever sell any houses. Now, we develop real estate. We redevelop, houses. We rehab houses. We flip houses. And I would love to never sell any of them, but our business model is not, build 5,000 houses a year for ourselves to hold. We'd run out of money, quicker than we could. But I don't like selling any houses ever, period. And sure, you can try to time markets and sell here and sell there, but you want a strategy that doesn't take much thought and is kind of foolproof. You just don't ever sell real estate.
And I think quality of life, while we're talking about our personal houses, and we'll get into investments later, but the quality of life portion that you mentioned is huge. I got married in 2015. But prior to that, I moved a lot. If I could sell my house and make a profit, I always did. But when you're single with no kids, it's a lot easier to sell your house. We talk about planting your flag. I always had the goal of being able to find land, and then once I found what I wanted, then stay there.
Right.
Thank the good Lord, I'm there now. But this is my 13th place since 2001. So I moved a bunch. Yeah. And it did afford me, some savings. I made money on most all of those places. There was one during the Great Recession that we've talked about before where I got real close to breaking even on. But the rest of them, I did pretty well on.
Right.
But, now I've got, a wife. I've got 2 and 5-year-old girls that, upending, your personal life.
Just to ring the register.
Just to ring the register. Yeah. I think it's silly. And because of the business that we're in, I'm a project guy. I'm always wanting to do stuff, whether it's, remodel this or, add to this or do that. And it takes its toll on the family. It does.
For sure.
We haven't started it yet, but we're doing we have a detached garage. We're going to be doing a remodel on that detached garage. And look, we're going to have contractors in and out for, a couple of months.
It sucks.
Doing this. It's hard.
Yeah.
It takes its toll, on the family, for sure. So,
if you're doing enough other real estate, then it makes it easy, because then you can just, you live where you want to live. You move when you want to move for family reasons. And you don't base what your family does on money. It comes down to also, kind of the order of your priorities, which should be God, family, country, and then money. Mm-hmm. And that's, so if you live that way, then you're not going to always time the market with your own house. And you haven't sold all of those houses either. You still have some of them.
Still do.
Which is another point that I do want to talk about, which is most of the time, if you're going to move, you're not looking to sell just to make money. In a normal market, you're just wanting to move to another house, maybe, upgrade because you've got the next job that everyone does. We think you should probably keep your old house and not sell it. Mm-hmm. People don't even think of that as an option. When they're looking at a new house to move to, they sell their house. There's a lot of other options out there.
Lots of other options.
Keeping these houses is a great way to build wealth. Now, keep in mind, your house probably won't be as great as far as returns go as if you were to find a group like us and buy a turnkey investment that, We know how to pinpoint the ones that have the best returns on them. Your personal house probably won't have the greatest returns out there. However, you already own it. You've likely already paid down that debt some. There's a lot of options to keep that and still be able to upgrade to the next house and have a tenant pay that house off for you.
I think that's a great point, because I say a lot of my personal friends, they'll come to me whenever they're wanting to sell their house or talk about their next move. And, in a lot of cases, I will tell them, like, well, have you thought about turning it into a rental, because it could probably pay your kids' way through college.
Right.
We have, one client that's a close friend of mine. His name's Patrick. He owns a house over on the west side. And I was texting with him last night. He's in a unique situation where he had to move away in like 2007, 8, and he moved away to South Bend. So it was a really bad time to sell, so we turned his house into a rental. Well, during that time, he's had the same tenant in his house that whole time. He's had a tenant in there for 13 years. And if it's not 13, it could be 11 or 12. It's somewhere in there. But during that time, he's paid off that house. That tenant has paid the house off, during that time. So,
right.
He's asking me, what to do. And, at this point in time, I feel like you have made a lot of that money.
Sure.
And, if you do choose to ring the register, on something like that, and we're getting into investment property a little bit, and we need to, touch on that a little bit more in detail. But in those situations, maybe it works. But going back to your personal house, the other thing is, if you sell your personal house right now, not only does it cause, stress amongst your family and all the, the moving sucks. I've done it 13 times, since I've been in Indianapolis, but where do you go?
Right. You've got to go somewhere.
There's nothing on the market right now.
Right. There's no. So you're going to be buying in at the same high prices that you sold. So the only option there, if you really want to time this and you're only worried about cash, it's to rent for the interim. And rentals are hard
sell
to find.
And then rent.
And wait for the market to drop, which who knows when the bottom is. I always feel like the bottom is harder to find than the top. Both are hard to find, precisely. But I feel like the bottom's always harder to get close on to me. And so when the market drops, if it drops, there's so much stimulation going on out there that you and I are both big pessimists on what the market is right now. Not just housing market. We mean the economy in general. We're big pessimists on it.
Big time.
And so we think it's coming, but it might not. We've been wrong before. And if it does come, there's a chance it just flattens instead of really drops as far as home values are concerned. The overall economy with possible inflation going on, in a case like that, if there's hyperinflation or even just a little bit above average inflation, sometimes in a recession, the prices of homes don't drop. They just stay flat in those cases.
And we saw a lot of that in the Great Recession.
Right. So, it's like you sell to ring the register, but then you're going to be buying in.
So you make $50,000 and then you buy something and overpay
right.
By $50,000. Because people right now, we've talked about it on here before, going in at list price isn't even really an option in most, markets within Indianapolis that, if you want the house that goes on the market, you have to go over list price. A lot of times there's an appraisal contingency on there that if the house doesn't appraise, then you're responsible for that money. So the house they're telling you that the house isn't even worth what you're paying for, and people are still doing it. It's the wild, wild west, man.
Right.
It's bonkers.
Yeah.
It's hard to explain.
Yeah, and I keep coming back, though, to you don't have to overthink this, though, if you're a real estate holder. If you hold real estate, you don't have to think about all this stuff. If you're in a home where you and your family want to be, stay there. Just own, and if you want to move for your family's sake, then move. And maybe not sell your house, even though the market's high. I understand cashing in, but, it's hard to go out and motivate yourself to go buy rental properties. I think that's the biggest problem most folks have with becoming real estate investors. It's simply just the motivation to get up and just go do it. It's that simple. However, that's the hardest step. So you've already got that baked into the system. If you're going to move, just don't sell your house. Just turn it into a rental. Let a tenant pay it off. You want to talk about a great little piggy bank that house turns into. It's an amazing tool to financial freedom, and it's the easiest way. And what we've seen this with clients where they do that, and then they see what the numbers are like, and then they want to buy more. It can be an instant. It can fire them up to want to own more when they see what that does.
Right.
A lot of people see the idea of owning real estate and what it does for them. They see it, but they haven't experienced it. And when they experience it and they really see it in real life in their accounts, it fires them up.
Absolutely.
And this is a great way to get yourself excited about it. I think everyone should consider before they sell their house, their personal house, I think they should at least consider it. That's all.
Yeah.
Whether they sell it or not, I understand. But not enough people look at that part of their life and say, oh, could this be a rental? They just automatically say, well, we're moving, so I need to sell my house. That's fine. But we suggest that you at least think to yourself first, what if I turn this into a rental? And just run the numbers on that. I think you would be amazed how often the better option for you is to keep the house and turn it into a rental. You don't have to do any of the work either. There's companies like ours. We have, property management companies across the nation that will manage it for you for very small fees, do all of the work, and you just get that mailbox money.
Mailbox money is awesome.
So
it goes back. I mean, you really got to do a financial analysis on your own personal home. What do you think you're going to make, on it? How much are you going to overpay for your next home? What are the tax benefits that you have from owning a home? Because, the interest on a mortgage, is tax deductible as well. There's lots of factors, but, I kind of keep going back to, family's very important.
Right.
And,
so what about investment homes then?
It's challenging.
What do you think people should do with investment homes right now?
Well, I'm a believer in holding real estate. I don't really like to, buy and sell a lot. I mean, I do a little, but, a very small percentage, of what you and I own together or what, I own personally. You go back, I mean, a lot of these homes I've had for a very, very long time. I've got LLCs set up for my girls that, I have the dream of one day that whenever they graduate college, then they've got a portfolio of real estate that's paid off and they can decide what they want to do with it at that point. But, making them, financially secure, is a huge goal of mine. So,
okay, let me pause you there. So with your plan, your kids are going to graduate college and be handed keys to houses that are nice houses that someone else is paying the rent on, and they will have no debt. And you will have done that by spending a ton of money out of your own pocket, or
no? I have, I'm putting 20% down. On these. A lot of these are homes that we'll acquire through here, and I kind of earmark it as one for my girls.
Right.
But I only do two a year. I do one each a year.
Right.
That's I'm not doing a lot, but.
So that's an example
I have debt on it. I tried my personal. Strategy is I like them to be on 15-year loans, 15-year notes. And I really don't use any of the positive cash flow for anything other than paying down the debt.
Right.
So I have those two LLCs set up. I'm in the process of adding, one a year to each of them. But I then, I run it through my accounting, software. They have separate bank accounts. If there's extra money, then I use it to pay down the debt.
Okay.
And I'm aggressive at paying down the debt. We don't live off the money. It's there for their future, and their financial security is something that me and my wife are very passionate about.
I think it's very admirable. And I think that I want to just break this down one more time, just real simple, because not only do I think it's admirable, but I think it's very achievable for anyone that's listening. I don't care what your income level is. I believe this is achievable. Whether you want to leave them for your kids or you want them for your own retirement, hey, screw the kids. They got college educations. They can earn their own. Keep it for yourself. Either way, he's saying he's putting 20% down. So on a $100,000 house, he's putting $20,000 out of his pocket. He's saved up $20,000 per house. And then by the time his kids graduate college, they're going to own assets worth, with just say 3 to 4% appreciation, over $200,000 each house that cost him $20,000. So $20,000 out of his pocket in 15 to 20 years, they will be worth $200,000 paid off free and clear, and he's going to hand them to his kids.
Correct.
So $20,000, that's about all it takes.
That's it.
Yeah. Okay. I just wanted to break that down.
And, the goal is, to have them wealthy,
right.
At a very early age. And, I say what they want to do with it. Of course, they're going to have to prove that they are, financially responsible before the keys are just handed over. Because there's no way in the world, like Scott Adams at 22, I'd hand over the keys.
Your kids are not going to be Scott Adams.
I'm totally joking.
No.
But me at 22,
right. No. But your kids aren't going to be like you and I were. We were idiots. But there is also some responsibility in it versus giving some kid cash. I grew up, as you know, in a very wealthy area, and I saw cash given to kids ruin their lives and cost some lives. I saw it ruin a lot of lives. Mm-hmm. Kids that didn't have to work for it and were given it too soon. But there's some responsibility that comes with a house too. It's not all sunshine and rainbows and just a pile of cash. There's some responsibility to it. It's a good lesson, I believe. I think it's a neat thing. Right. I think it's very admirable. And I just wanted to make sure everyone who is listening understands how easy that is to do. It sounds very difficult. Wait, you're just going to give your kids a bunch of rentals when they graduate college? Free and clear? Yeah. And it didn't cost him hardly anything.
That's correct.
It's very doable. So I'm sorry, I know I got us off topic there a little bit.
Fallon says she wants to come work with Daddy and Uncle Scott anyway. So I'm definitely not going to push that down their throats because we have a lot of stress in here.
Yeah.
A lot of stress in here too. I tell everyone I'm actually only 25 years old. It's just This business has made me look like this. But
no, I like your other quote. It's I'm what is it? The thicker skin.
Everyone thinks I'm putting on weight. I'm not. I'm just actually getting thicker skin.
It's so funny. This is a tough business.
But it's true. But I don't want to scare off people by us talking about how tough this business is. Keep in mind with some of the stuff that we have under construction, and we're pushing over 1,000 doors that we manage. And we're not telling people to go out and start up property management.
Yeah, don't do what we do.
know.
It's a tough business for us, meaning that all of our owners get to sit back and get mailbox money.
Correct.
We're the ones who have it rough, not the investors.
Exactly.
So I don't know why we were dumb enough to actually want to do all this hard work.
The other thing is, we've talked about the labor gap and kids not being interested in trade work. We take care of all of that for our clients.
Right.
We have all of that
That's
stuff
our
already
problem, not theirs.
Correct. So it's not all glass half empty type stuff like we say on here sometimes about our stress levels. We've been very blessed to have a business that's got lots of moving parts to it, and if it was easy, everybody would be doing it. And
right.
There's a reason why there's really 3, 4, 5 reputable companies in Indianapolis that that do it, and we all know one another. And why we see so many other people fail at it. But helping people take their next steps with real estate, whether it is their personal home and they want to talk to us, we love to help facilitate that, or talk through what our thought process is. Or if it's you want a portfolio of 10 properties for yourself, or you want to start up some LLCs for your kids. That's something that we're very passionate about, and helping
makes it
people
worth
achieve it. But really, holding, of real estate. There's an old Seinfeld when he's getting a rental car. He had a rental car reservation, and then goes up there. It's like, sorry, we don't have any cars. He's like, well, but I had a reservation. He said, it's the holding of it that is the most important.
Like, do you know how reservations work? No, I don't think you do.
Anybody can just take them. But I think that kind of applies, here too, because we're in a market where it's like it's so easy, to sell your place right now. But staying the course, keeping a long-term, approach to it, and holding the real estate long-term, it's amazing. I say this all the time because, I'm at a point in my career where, I've been doing it close to 20 years, but really the fruits of the labor from, 20 years ago, you really started to see it pay off like, 5, 6 years ago. It's amazing what making good real estate decisions today, it's amazing what your portfolio will be in 15 years. And 15 years goes by very fast. And I'm not talking about, crazy decisions. I mean, it's just you analyzing one at a time and making smart decisions. We got a guy from California that's he's buying a commercial, project off of us, and he's a residential homeowner investor here with us as well. And he's talked about what he's done over the years with real estate, and he's probably in his 60s.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he's retired, 60. So yeah. But,
he did it slowly, and it's amazing what he's done by making good decisions throughout his life. And, he's built this amazing portfolio with he's got a FedEx facility where he owns the building. Right. He owns some buildings that some fast food restaurants are in. He has houses here and in different markets.
People think, oh, he must have been rich. No, he was not rich. He worked hard. He was in the airline industry, out there in the baggage world and the logistics part of it, just working. He wasn't some multimillionaire he instead just made sound long-term investment real estate. He said something to me that I found interesting, and it's something you and I talk about often, which is the value of his real estate is not that important to him. It's just a number on a piece of paper until he sells it. So if he buys something to hold it long-term, and then cash flow is good and he knows what he's making every year, why does he care what someone thinks that the value of that property is? For him, he bought it because it provides cash. And if you do that, I think it's the most sound investment and the soundest way to become wealthy through real estate. You can try to time the markets and kind of ring that register. There's no shame in that. But the truth is, you've exited then, and you're no longer on that path to long-term generational wealth when you do that. So there's some drawbacks to selling, and there's some real strengths to just buying and forgetting about it and just collecting those checks and letting it pay off.
He's such an interesting guy. And, whenever we have clients like that, sometimes, it's we learn stuff from our clients sometimes.
All the time.
And he's one of those people. And when you see someone that's so kind and just respectful and, then you see what he's done, over, I don't know, but say 30 years of real estate investing. I don't know how long it's been and, how successful he's been in doing it. But at the same time, he's built this massive portfolio of wealth. But then, he comes in and, we pray together for our meals. Right. And, he asks about your family and, just such a good guy. And I think it's because greed was never part of the equation.
Right.
It was never part of the equation. Ringing the register so where he could go buy a
fancy car,
or do something that was never part of the equation.
This guy could be driving a new Lambo each day of the week. Easily afford. He could be driving a Ferrari on Monday and a Lamborghini on Tuesday and a Range Rover on Thursday. I guarantee he drives something like a Chevy Silverado or something. You know? I mean, he lives the right way, and there's such comfort in these clients that we have who have made it to this point in their careers and their investment path. It's really interesting to see the relaxation. I don't know. It's hard to explain. It's like their shoulders have dropped. It's like there's a burden that's not on them.
It's a chill that's just...
There is. You can tell. Yeah. And that's what the long-term investors that we see who have bought and truly held, that's what they get out of that. It's not just the money. It's a surety in life that their kids are going to be okay, that their grandkids are going to be okay. And that's a neat thing to get. And the only way to do that we see for sure is through long-term hold. You can make a lot of money flipping real estate. You can also lose a lot. And you can also not build wealth that way. You can get rich, but you're not going to build wealth. So,
well, if you're an investor, I mean, there's again, consult a tax accountant, and there's lots of, you really have to manage money. If you're doing a lot of transactions where you're buying and selling, there's a tax liability. If you're not doing your personal home, you're doing an investment home, right. Where you spent the money somewhere else, and then you get to the end of the year and you've got this huge tax burden. I mean, there's set it and forget it is really, really the most sound and easiest way to get to wealth. And like I said, it's amazing what making good decisions over just a short period of time will do. I can't believe that, you've been in this for 3 years. I've been in it for 20 years. That time goes by fast.
So you started when you were 5 years old. You're 27.
I think that I had just turned 6. I had just turned 6. Yeah. Thank you.
I think that was a great summary, by the way. That's a perfect summary, the way you just rounded that up. Because it's true. And time goes fast. Especially when someone else is paying down your mortgage for you, time goes fast. You don't have to think about it.
Correct.
You got a management company managing it. You got no worries in life. Nothing goes. There's risks in everything. There's bumps in the road. Don't get me wrong there. I want to make sure that's
there
clear.
There always will
However, this can be a fairly smooth path when you get professionals involved to help you, and you can just kind of set it and forget it and build wealth. So we understand ringing the register. There's nothing wrong with that. There's a lot of tax burdens with it. It's complicated, but we understand it. With investment properties, we believe in long-term holding of real estate, period. Whether the market's up, down, sideways, whatever it's doing, we believe in holding it because those are the known numbers. It's getting paid off. It's bringing in cash. With your personal house, we suggest before you sell, just analyze it, consider keeping it as a rental. It's a great way to build wealth without having to spend money. It's a great way to build wealth.
And keep, holding on to your spouse and keeping your kids happy at the top of that list also.
Sorry, that is the most important.
It is, because we just sold. We sold at the first of the year, and it could have went smoother. I mean, there were a lot of bumps, and you get in the middle of it, and you're like, oh my gosh, my kids are having to put up with this, and
Sure.
I've moved into a disaster zone where we were still remodeling our house, and thankfully my wife supported that, and my kids are, as long as they're getting to watch Cinderella and Aladdin, they're going to be happy, but it's a lot. So again, we believe in holding of real estate, and the grass is always greener on the other side. So really analyze what you're doing with your personal house or your investment homes.
Yeah. Great.
Well, that's our show for today. The real estate market continues to be on fire. That's what raises these questions. We're happy to talk it through with you. We believe in holding of real estate. We believe in keeping it boring. We believe in set it and forget it. Work with professionals that have good reputations. All that stuff that we always preach. Please hit subscribe down below and turn the notifications on. We're going to continue to pump out content. This guy loves TikTok. He's going to be posting TikTok videos, and who knows what he's going to be doing. It's going to be a lot of fun. But we really enjoy having you as part of this podcast.
I'll show you nuts.
Want to get nuts? Let's get nuts. But anyhow, till next time, happy investing.